Your gym is running a 30-day workout challenge. Show up every day for a month and earn a free month of membership. Work out a ton and save $200? You're in. So you do it, but on day 31, you're sore, exhausted, and wondering how you could ever keep up this pace. So, did you actually build a consistent habit? Or did you set an unrealistic expectation? Maybe what you really needed was the slow and steady approach, something sustainable you could see yourself doing long term. Consistency isn't about going all out for 30 days and then crashing. It's about putting in the slow and steady reps that you can actually sustain long term. My guest today is Anjeanette Carter, CEO of Stratis Media. She helps founders and CEOs grow their personal brands through LinkedIn ghostwriting and management. She's also a freelance mentor whose Substack newsletter provides helpful tips for freelancers and solopreneurs to build strategic personal brands and business systems to earn more and work less. We all want that, don't we? Every episode kicks off with a listener question in a segment called Hey Coach. So I want to know, what would you ask if you had a business coach in your back pocket? Submit your questions to Leslie at thefitnessofbusiness.com.
Hey, Coach. In your episode on social media burnout, you said to keep it simple and show up as yourself. I think the phrase was be visible but not viral, which is great. How do I do that on LinkedIn, though, and still come across as professional? Is this my work self? Here's a picture of me presenting at a conference. Or should this be my personal self? Here's a picture of me fishing. I'm looking forward to your answer.
Well, Anjeanette, welcome to the
Hello.
show. Hello.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited you're here, and I am dying to talk to you about all things LinkedIn and content and your career. However, I would be remiss if we did not talk about how we know each other.
That's true. This
Goes
is
back.
not a LinkedIn connection.
This is so not a LinkedIn connection. It was a reconnection over the years, but we go back at least a bazillion years to
Uh,
our days doing musical theater summer camp and then some.
yes. Yes.
And I feel like that time of life was like magical. It's like all the weirdos and the nerdy
Was.
kids, right?
It was. It was. It was amazing. And what's so funny is since I still live in the same like general area where we grew up, is now that same program, it's like changed names several times, but the same exact program is at my children's elementary school. And I've said to them, like, do you guys want to do this? And they're like, no. My son is like, his first reaction is, don't put me with girls, mom. No. Like, because it's like all girls, like it always was. It was always us and like three guys.
Yes, but
And
then
then
he gets all the big roles.
that's what told him. And he's like, don't put me with girls. Fine. And then my daughter is like, who's 7, is like, no, not into that. Looks boring. So I know,
Ugh.
maybe one day.
I feel like we could do 18 episodes or so on the stories from that time because we did, I mean, years of shows together.
Years.
It was
Years. And you
so
know what? It
fun.
was the best breeding ground, not only for a stage addiction, which is probably not a good thing, but um, it was such a great breeding ground for communication in general. Like when you're on stage and the way, things that we could never have predicted would become such a part of everybody's daily life, like social media. Like before,
Mhm.
if you were on camera, it was because you were an actor, a singer, or you had a talent to share. These days, everybody's on camera. Even if you have like an aquarium business, you got to be on camera showing off your saltwater fish or, anything.
The fish
It's
probably have agents now.
right. Yeah, possible.
No, you're so right. I think the the fact that we entered into a program like that at such like an impressionable age, in our like
Mhm.
early adolescence and built
Mhm.
the confidence essentially around a bunch of strangers to get up on stage
Mhm.
and sing and act and dance and
Mhm.
perform. It was like, you're right. We couldn't have
Like we
known
were
it at the time.
stars.
We were stars.
No, no, I mean, but that's what's so amazing is it wasn't just, oh, the confidence to get up to do it. The confidence to get up and do it and feel like no one could do it better. That's what's so amazing about kids is
I
that
know.
you can really like you just show up and give it your all.
It's so true, and then my parents, many, many years later were like, "Do you know that I saw You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at least, 15 times over the years?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's really unfortunate."
Oh my gosh. I
I
know,
know.
I know. It's so funny.
Well, and now we are grown-ups, sort of, and we have families and careers, and here we are all those bazillion years later, so I'm really happy that you're here, so thank you.
Well, I am thrilled to be here.
So I'd love to just start with Devin's question, our listener. So
Mhm,
how is
mhm.
someone supposed to show up on LinkedIn? Like what's the formula? Give us all the magic.
Got it. Well, I like the question because he asks, "Oh, do I show up as my work self, my like relaxed self, my this self?" I would say show up as your best self.
Hmm.
I don't know what that is. I don't, but show up as your best self. People like to do business with people they like. If
Mhm.
you show up like a professional drone, who's going to want to do business with you?
Yeah.
Except other professional drones. And
Right.
maybe that's okay. But usually not even everyone that sounds like a professional drone isn't actually a professional drone. None of us are. We all have personalities. We all have likes and dislikes. We're all, three-dimensional humans.
Yeah.
So when it comes to presenting yourself on LinkedIn, where normally people like to put their business hat on, that's fine. Your content can be business related,
Mm.
but show up as your best self, whatever that means to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And I think maybe it also is very industry dependent. I mean, if you're in a very, buttoned up field where you sort of need to be I don't know if this is the right
Mhm.
way of putting it, taken more seriously, versus, you know, maybe someone like me who's a coach who comes from a fitness background, like I can play into that a little bit more laid back just because the industry lends itself to that.
Sure. I mean, and I think, there's definitely a line, but even in those more buttoned up professions, there's still room to grow. Like one of my clients currently is a biostatistician. That's like a really serious, like grown up job, right? That's like a serious, works with
Yeah.
pharma companies. That is, he can't just post like, dick memes or something. You know what I mean? Like he has to like always look professional, right? However, even when we shape his content and we have him looking professional and like an authority in a space, there's still room to show he's a very friendly guy.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. He's open. He's really big on networking. So he's always open to like giving advice and talking to people. So for him, it's not about, oh, I need to be buttoned up when I'm really this like beer guzzling crazy person. It's like, no, he's a biostatistician and he's a nice professional family man who's
Yeah.
super friendly.
Yeah.
And so we focus on those things and so they come across as real relatable, but also still position him as the authority he is and an expert with a serious reputation.
And I think, like, to just sort of add to that, your personality and who you are obviously is unique to you and can be your differentiator in something that's a little bit more buttoned up. So be more relatable, be more human, because that might even set you apart in a positive way.
Mhm. 100% because I guarantee his competitors or colleagues that are posting don't just post stats and
Hmm.
facts because 'cause they're scientists, and that's what they do. Whereas even just throwing a little bit of like, "I hope you're having a wonderful day," which for another person, that may be like a cheesy thing to say, but for him and his personality and his profession, something as subtle as that humanizes something that is usually just facts, stats, and science.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd love to just like back up a little bit and hear about your career journey. Like explain, I guess,
Ugh.
what it is you do, how you got to where you are, kind of where it started and the evolution of it.
Okay, well, if I've started with where it started till now, we'd be here for like it would take the entire podcast.
It
So
started
I
on
will
stage
provide.
with me in
I know, right? Exactly. That's where it started. But I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. I mean, currently, right now, what I offer is I help founders and CEOs grow their personal brands on LinkedIn so they can grow their businesses. I also am an expert copywriter. I write everything from landing pages, websites, blogs, all those things. I'm a seven-figure copywriter. So that is kind of actually how this new pivot was born. Even off camera, Leslie and I were discussing about how business in general is always a pivot. And I said, "Oh, I whatever I'm doing right now, I guarantee 10 years from now, I'm not going to be doing. I
Mhm.
hope to be doing some iteration of it, but I guarantee if we speak in 10 years, it's going to look a whole lot different than it looks right now."
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. So even just 2 years ago, only in the last couple years, 2 to 3 years max, maybe, have people really started to take notice of LinkedIn, and founders are really realizing like, oh, I need a brand. If I'm going to raise money, or investors are looking at me, there's a lot to be said for founder brands
Yeah.
right now. People want to know who's in charge, and not necessarily end customers, but people in the business world, potential clients, potential investors, etc. So it's really important for founders nowadays to kind of showcase who they are, what their values are, their business journeys, etc. But that's only been really hitting in the last like couple years. People have
Mm.
started to be like, oh, this is a real avenue, because no one has ever really looked at LinkedIn like Instagram or Facebook,
Yeah.
where it's all like very like D2C. LinkedIn is solely B2B. And now is kind of it's having its moment of being a spotlight for founders. And
Mhm.
so got into that because I was copywriting, and that is something my agency still offers. But I started getting these founders asking me like, "Oh, can you just ghostwrite like some LinkedIn posts for me?" And I was like,
Mm.
"Sure." And so I got into it, and I really, really enjoyed it,
Mm.
because I just love anything that's like authentic and a short story and a short form, because I'm
Yep.
no attention span. So I like things that
You
are
and
short and
everybody else.
fast.
Yep.
So, right?
Yeah.
And, and then truly, to really answer your question, I saw it for myself as an AI hedge. I
Mm.
use AI in it, and you'll see as a proponent of AI, but, as a standard copywriting agency, I was fearful. So I started pivoting, and I still do the copywriting. I've come to find that copywriters are still as in demand as ever,
Mhm.
but I've also found this other avenue that allows me to have more predictable revenue, because with copywriting, it's there's a lot of one-offs. Even though I have many repeat clients, it's
Yeah.
not the same as when you bill monthly for the same service. So I
Yeah.
ended up falling in love with the business model a lot more,
Hmm.
and so that's where a lot of my attention goes today.
Hmm.
And then on the flip side of that, I
Huh.
also mentor freelancers and solopreneurs looking to kind of do the same, and create their own
Yeah.
businesses. I know that was a
So
lot.
many.
That was about
Yeah, I think
Sorry,
we're good. We're
everybody.
good. Yeah. No, like, what do you think changed that made LinkedIn all of a sudden a place that people recognized as, you know, a potential way to add value or to, get visibility?
Well, I think again, I can't truly say what the true origin of it was, just because I wasn't even playing on there at that
Yeah.
time. I was just doing my own thing. I wasn't first to market, so to speak, with this. But I think what happened is people really started posting relatable content and growing, and then people saw, oh, this isn't as saturated of a market like Instagram and
Mhm.
TikTok, etc. And again, Instagram and TikTok is not everybody's audience.
Right.
If you're selling a SaaS email solution, people, know your the TikTok audience isn't it. You need
Yeah.
that B2B audience. So I think people finally started saying, oh, I can post content. And if I post regularly, my network grows, et cetera, et cetera. And then I think it just really kind of took off.
Yeah. So speaking of posting regularly, since we do want to talk about, a lot of the content in what you post is about being consistent. So
Mhm.
I would love to know, like, what does that mean to you? Or when you work with clients, what does consistency, particularly on LinkedIn, mean?
So I think I love that I don't know if it was just related to me or not, but I love that you started this episode talking about consistency because I think that is the secret ingredient to pretty much anything, but it's 100% the secret ingredient to growing on any social platform is consistency. Everyone, so many people, why do people fail on these platforms? Because they post, they get excited, they post, nothing happens, and they stop.
Mhm.
And then something will happen. And so then a couple months later, they'll be like, hey guys, big announcement. Like, I just got a promotion or I just got this or hey, I'm launching this. And nobody cares because
Mhm.
you just didn't do anything for 2 months. And now you're asking your audience for something.
Yeah.
So consistency means daily posting,
Mm.
daily or every other day posting. That's all the time, no matter what. If you're on
Mm.
vacation, I don't care. If you're sick, I don't care. It's like going to the gym. It's like asking a
Yeah.
trainer, okay, well, how consistent do I need to be in my fitness? They're not going to be like, well, if you just do like 4 times a month, you're probably good. No, they're going to be like all the time. And then you're like,
Yeah.
well, what about if I go on vacation? Okay, maybe once in a while you can take a few days off, but then you gotta get right back on.
Mhm.
It's like it's the same thing. If you don't work out
Yep.
at the gym, you don't you lose you lose your gains.
Yep.
And it's the
Yeah.
same and with social media, even worse, you lose the ability to reap gains
Mhm.
because once you kinda dip out, the algo's like, "Oh, this person doesn't produce content."
Yep.
So then they kinda drop you
Yeah.
quickly, and then you gotta work to get back in the algorithm's good graces for another 30 to 60 days, and then you tap out again because you saw nothing happened. So
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
vicious cycle most people have with social media. But the real key is if you are consistent, as long as your stuff doesn't suck, if you're consistent, that's the biggest key for anyone.
So define stuff doesn't suck. No, I guess like so there's sure people could post daily, but it might not look super polished. It may not be super valuable. It may just be a bunch of promotions. Like what does
Mhm.
consistently good content look like?
I like that question. So, like you said, I don't think content ever really has to be polished, even in a professional space. It just has to be real and it just has to add value.
Mhm.
So, for all of my clients on LinkedIn, they're all selling something, right? They all have businesses. They're on this not to just look good. They're on this for either client acquisition or to sell more of whatever they're selling. But not almost zero of the posts I ever do for my clients are asks for
Mhm.
sell or sell. It's never, "Hey, you like this? Call me on my free hotline here." It's always value adding.
Yeah.
So I always say, because clients will say to me, "Well, what am I supposed to post about?" And I always say, "I don't care what
Mhm.
we post about." Obviously, it's got to be relevant. It's got
Yeah.
to show people what you do. It's got to show what problems you solve.
Mhm.
But most importantly, if you're writing something or coming up with a graphic or something, you have to look back at it and say, if I post this, does this add value?
Mhm.
And if the answer is no, you don't need to post it.
Yeah.
But if the answer is yes, then keep going down that route.
I would have loved to know, like, at what point do you talk to your clients about, okay, I don't know that you're going to be able to answer this specifically, but okay, you've been posting consistently for 90 days. You should expect to see X amount percent ROI. Like, how do you pitch
That's
the
such a
return?
good that's such a good question, and honestly, it is one of the harder parts of what I do because it's not like, "Oh, we're running ads," where you can
Yeah.
say, "Oh, if I spend this much, I make this much."
Yeah.
That is it's definitely a lot more nuanced. So when a potential client asks me that, I always say, "Look, from day 1, when we start working together, you're gonna start to see your analytics go up. Like,
Hmm.
that's just fact because of
Hmm.
all the different things I'm gonna do with you. So you're gonna see your metrics going like this. How high do they go? Depends on your audience, and I'm not gonna know basically till I get in there. So,
Mm.
for example, I had a client come to me once with 10,000 followers, and I was, like, really excited because LinkedIn, it's not like Instagram. Like, if you have, like, 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, that's like having, like, 50,000 followers on Instagram because all the
Yeah.
accounts are verified, and, and even the biggest creators on LinkedIn have like 1 million followers.
Uh-huh.
It's not like Instagram. So when I had someone come to me with 10,000 followers, I was like, "Oh my god, it's gonna be so easy. I just need to, like, do a few tweaks here and there, and we'll be off and running." And then I come to find out, he goes, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "So everyone on my page is, I left that industry, so now I'm in a totally different industry." What so basically, I come to find out his 10,000 follower audience was useless, like,
Mhm.
useless to him, and that it
Right.
had 0 relevance to his new endeavor, which
They're
is
useless
fine.
people. Yeah.
Right, right, but you're right, exactly. No, which is fine, but
Yeah.
that was information, I would have given him, much different projections had I known
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
However, then I had another client came to me with only, like, 2,000 followers and connections, which is, like, a pretty kinda average, but on the weaker side for LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, kind of like, well, like, we'll get this train moving and see what happens. He started going viral from day one. Like, he was like my golden boy. Everything we'd put just to the moon. And that was because all of his connections were related to his incredibly niche industry.
Mhm.
So every time he'd send out a post, it was reaching the exact people it needed to reach, and
Yeah.
it would snowball. So it's really important, when you're posting content to make sure you're cultivating not just an audience, but the right audience.
It's you made so many amazing points in there, and I just want to, toot your horn. Is that seems like a
Oh,
dirty thing.
I don't
I
know, but
know.
toot it.
We've known each other a long time, so I felt like it was
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Um, I just wanna say, like, you practice what you preach, and I think there is, a lot to be said for that because I think there are so many people out there who claim to be experts, and I can, promise this and promise that, but you actually do it. I mean, I follow you, I see how many followers you have, your content is it's engaging, it's simple, and I mean that in a really good way because it's very consumable, and it's like, well, sure, why wouldn't I wanna work with you if it's you make it look easy, and I think that's actually a
Well,
really
thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate that. And you know what? I'll tell you this, and this is the truth, Leslie.
Is it
Not
are you
that I
gonna
say
toot
that
my
as if
horn?
nothing else was before this moment. Everything was the truth, but this is extra truth. I was like, like, what's that called? Like the cobbler with no shoes or something, like,
Uh-huh.
I would work on everybody else's
Yep,
LinkedIn before, like, and I kinda put mine to, like, the side because I was
yep.
doing well, and only for the last year, I'd say, would have I been concentrating on just my own personal LinkedIn, and
Mhm.
since I have done that and grown my own following, now, I always say if anyone that follows me, I believe in, like, a multi-pronged approach for client acquisition. However, it's so much easier when clients just come to you. And a lot of the times, my clients over the last, my newer clients over the last few months, they all find me from LinkedIn. So when we hop
Mm.
on a sales call, I just have to say, hey, does this LinkedIn thing work? Well, that's how you found me. That's how we're on the phone. So
Yeah,
I'm positive it's working because you're a
yeah,
stranger who came to me and wants to work with me. And so
yeah.
I think that's the real reason why I encourage anyone that stands to benefit from it to be posting on LinkedIn because it is it is just the easiest way to get business. It's so much easier when
Mhm.
it just comes to you, and the more content you share, the bigger of a name you give yourself,
Yeah.
the more frequently it happens.
So I would love because I know I'm like a very tactical person. Like here are 3 things to
Mhm.
do and step 1, 2, and
Right, right,
3.
yeah.
And so I would love if if you were to take somebody or when you take somebody on as a new client, I think there's a few parts to this question. Like what are the top 2 or 3 things that you pretty much would tell anyone are essential for their LinkedIn? And how do they then convert that audience and those, listeners, readers into paying clients? Like, what is that conversion?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here, I'm gonna package this a slightly
Okay.
different way. How
Okay.
about so for anyone listening that's like, okay, I know I gotta be posting on LinkedIn. How do I know I'm doing it right? Or like what's like what do I need to do? Step one. Well, okay, so I guess the first thing before you actually sit down to write is the thinking part. And for the thinking part, because I always feel like thinking is harder than writing. You have to do the thinking first.
Mhm.
So, for the thinking part, make sure you understand your content pillars. For example, if you sell ads and you do ads management, you want to talk about your expertise in ads, but not your expertise. You want to be talking to your ideal client. Maybe you only work with SaaS founders, SaaS companies. So you want to make sure you have content about ads for SaaS companies. Then maybe you want to show some case studies. Then maybe you also want to show just kind of like how you like to audit brands or and ads, everything kind of surrounds that main topic. So once you have your pillars and you're like, okay, Anjeanette, I know what I want to talk about. I'd say the most important thing for your LinkedIn posts, number one, without question, is the hook. Nobody is going to read your post if it doesn't have a strong hook. That is number one. It's got to be catchy. It's got to stop the scroll. So when you write it, or even if you use AI to write it, and when you're done with it, whatever that finished piece is in front of you, if you look and if that first two sentences, because LinkedIn gives you the first two sentences before you click read more. So
Mhm.
with those first two sentences, if those wouldn't make you stop the scroll, back to the drawing board. Hooks are
Mm.
everything. Number two, you always want to maximize for readability, which means no one is going to read your paragraphs.
Yep.
Okay. Nobody's going to do it.
Yep.
You want to stick to one-liners, and a lot of people say, "Oh, but that's like the format of LinkedIn, and I don't want to be like that because I don't think it's authentic." Okay, fine, be authentic, but less people are going to read your
You're
post. It's
right,
like
right.
there's a method to the madness.
You're
Okay,
authentically
pick
not
and
gonna get as
choose.
many, yeah.
And I'm not saying don't be authentic, but I'm
Right, of
saying you have to,
course.
there's a formula. Formulas work for a reason.
Yeah.
You want to, even on blogs, on anything, people want little consumable content,
Yeah.
right? So maximize for readability. And so hooks, readability. And then the third thing is, especially if you don't have a big following, I would say end your posts with some kind of call to action. And I don't mean, oh, call me if you want me to audit your Facebook ads. I mean is ask for engagement, meaning like, do you disagree with this or agree
Mm.
with this? Let me know in the comments. Especially if you're really trying to drum up engagement and you're in
Yeah.
like the early stages, end all of your posts with something that inspires people to comment, because the more
Mm.
that people comment, the more the algo is going to serve your content. So that's
Yeah.
a great beginner step.
Cool. I love that. Those are so clear and concise.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I try.
Um, well, you kind of already touched on this in talking about how you sort of put your own content and your own, building of your personal brand on the back burner to focus on your clients. But is
Mhm.
there anything else that really ask your clients to subscribe to that you have a really hard time implementing yourself?
Well, okay. Well, I was gonna say the hardest thing to get clients to do is respond to me. Only because I work specifically with like founders who are really, really busy. Most
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, especially founders, are super, super busy. So getting them to reply just to even say, like, okay, give me a thumbs up on this content,
Yeah.
that's the hardest part of my job. But that's not the question you were asking. Okay, you were
But
saying,
it's good to know. Yeah.
what's easy to say, hard to implement.
Mhm.
Honestly, I would say I don't think I have an answer for that. I think the answer really is I just have to make sure I'm doing the same things that I would do for my client. And now I do. I just had a season of life where I was too dialed in. And that's a whole other business discussion about, business model and everything. But I was a little too plugged in that I didn't have time to grow my own personal brand, which has been my focus for the last year alongside growing
Yeah.
my agency.
Yeah, well, it adds that extra layer or 2 of credibility for someone to say,
Mhm.
"Oh, she's not just lip service." Um,
100%.
and okay, so sort of like piggybacking on that question and burnout and founders, like, as founders,
Mhm.
we have 4,000 things to do on any given day at any given time. And so how do you help your clients show up consistently but not burn out?
Because I only meet with them or really hardcore communicate with them once a month. And so I
Mm,
say to them, if you can dedicate 45 minutes a month to me, we're golden. The whole point of hiring me is for me to do the heavy lifting.
yeah.
And so to take it off their plate. So really all I need from them is a conversation where I kind of extract their own personal insights and basically the personal brand,
Yeah.
whatever their specific expertise is. But I try to give a pretty white glove service so they don't have to really think about this, and except once a month, and when I send them the
Yeah.
bill.
Yeah. And then
Mhm.
they better think about it.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think that, a lot of especially founders or new founders, when they are in a position where they know they need to start outsourcing or delegating some component of running their business. And, they say, oh, I need someone to help with marketing. I want to outsource the marketing. I feel like it wouldn't be super obvious to then find a you
Hmm.
to
It's
fulfill
true.
that. So,
Mhm.
I guess, like, how do you position yourself in that context?
Personally, how do I position myself?
No, how do you position your company in that context? Like, do you say, "This is satisfying," "This is your marketing plan," or I don't know, like, what
It
bucket would
really
that fall
just
into?
depends. It depends on the business. I usually say this is not your business's marketing plan. I say this is your marketing plan. And a lot of founders I work with, I work with some super high net worth individuals that they have salespeople. They have this is really just for PR and speaking and stuff. And then a lot of the founders I work with, they're the salespeople that when a deal closes at their company, it closes through them. And a
Mm,
lot of people come to me first and say, "Can you manage my company page? I really need to get more followers for my company." And I always say no, because I
hmm,
say no one cares about your company. No one wants to do business with your company. People want to do business with people they like,
yeah,
period. And I say
yeah,
that so I'm blue in the face because a lot of people say, "Well, no, but then you see this company has like, you know, 30,000 followers." And it's true. Look, you can build up a company page on LinkedIn. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I'm not going to do it because it takes so much longer and the ROI is just not there as much as it
hmm,
would be, especially when I speak to a founder and I say, "You're the one closing the deals. These
yeah,
clients are doing business with you. You're the person they need to have at the forefront." And then what I really say is, "And tell me, when's the last time you commented on a company's post?"
mm,
And they go, "Never." And I go, "Me neither, because no one cares, because no one wants to do
yeah,
business with a logo.
yeah.
People wanna do business with people."
I love that. This summer, I did a full rebrand because I graduated from grad school and was like, have this business idea and
Yep.
I wanna just get it up and running, and so I just kinda
Mhm.
picked something and designed it all myself, and, like, it was fine, it
Mhm.
served the purpose, and then when I decided I wanted to start this podcast, I actually met with a podcast coach, shout out to Corinne, but the reason I hired her is because she started with a brand audit. And I think the best thing one of the best things that came out of that was that exactly what you just said. She's like, "You are your brand, and so it should be leslieboyce.com. It should not be LB Consulting. No one knows what that is. It's you." And so, it took me a while to kinda wrap my head around that because I think especially coming from I was running a gym, and I was always very eager to highlight, the gym members, the community, and I know my parents would always be like, "You need to be on your website more. Like, you need to have more pictures of yourself." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't." But in this case and in everything you're talking about, like, it totally makes sense. People are going to do business with me, not with LB Consulting. It's me.
Mhm.
So,
Right,
I
exactly.
yeah, I just sort of want to, echo that. Well, Anjeanette, thank you so much for joining me today. This was incredibly insightful. I hope everybody appreciates it as much as I do.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, and if you are listening and you're a founder who would like to work with Anjeanette, reach out to her on LinkedIn at Anjeanette-Carter. And she's also offering a freebie, a 10-minute LinkedIn fix. Turn your profile into a landing page that attracts your dream clients. Like, duh, I'm going to do it.
Yes, and
Uh,
that's for everybody. It's 10-minute fix. If you want your LinkedIn fix, Leslie will post it. Just go ahead and download that, and in 10 minutes, you'll have a much better LinkedIn page than when you start it.
yes. Wonderful. Yes, all these links will be in the show notes. So, Anjanette, we start every episode with our Hey Coach question,
Mhm.
and we end each episode by asking my guest. So on the podcast, we talk a lot about how entrepreneurship is basically a workout. What is one business strength or habit you wish you had developed earlier in your career?
Okay, I'm gonna spin this one on its head,
Ooh.
and I'm actually gonna bring it back to working out in that I make sure I do infrared hot fitness. It's hot yoga, but it's not just yoga. It's weights, it's circuit training, it's everything in infrared 4 times a week, and I usually do it around 11 AM, so I work in the morning, work out, then finish a little work before my kids get home, and I feel like having that mental break and that mental, uh, release, so to speak, reset
Mhm.
is so important as an entrepreneur because we always have 5 million things running through our head. We don't get to, like, clock out ever, so it's not like, "Oh, I'll leave that to Susie in accounting," whatever, it's like it's always on you, so
Yeah.
I think it's so important to be able to shut that off, and I wish I've always worked out, but I wish I had prioritized my
Mhm.
working out, my exercise the way I do now many, many years ago.
Thank you for being on brand with that answer.
I try, but it's
We
true.
No,
It's so easy because it's true.
it's so easy, and without that forced disconnection, yeah,
Mm.
you'd just be
There is
immersed.
no disconnection,
There is no
and I burned
disconnection.
out for a long time, so that just getting out, forcing myself I used to just work out, but I work out at home on a bike.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not the same as getting
Mm-mm.
into a class where you have to disconnect, you can't
Yeah.
look at your phone,
Yep.
someone's yelling at you for an
Yeah.
hour.
Totally.
Not the same.
By the way, an infrared workout sounds very Calabasas.
It is, and I love it.
And I may not edit that out.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. And if you have enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, leave a review, and submit those Hey Coach questions to Leslie at thefitnessofbusiness.com. See you next time.